The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Who is January Jones? She is not a young, beautiful, talented actress on Mad Men. She is not an older, gorgeous, exotic dancer from the Johnny Carson Show. She is an author, and she wrote Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, that reached #1 at Amazon.com. She is a reality TV golf personality with World High Stakes Golf televised on HDNet. She is a humorist and winologist expert. She is your featured host today on January Jones Sharing Success Stories. So sit back, relax, and get ready to laugh and listen to Ms. Jones with her eclectic roster of guests as you learn life's lessons. These stories plus sharing equals success. Welcome, and remember, beware, because you are entering the no whining world of January Jones.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a glittery and glowing day. I'm January Jones, and I'd like to welcome you to our podcast today. As many of you know, I've created a new brand called Glitter Granny Gifts to Give or to Get. I'm very excited about sharing this with everyone. And my website is for people who love to shop and who like to get a lot of attention. In my spare time, I've become an associate affiliate at Amazon, along with my assistant, my golden doodle, Ginger Ale, who's helping me out. So go to glittergranny.com if you'd like to go shopping with Ginger Ale and myself at glittergranny.com. Today, I'd like to welcome to our show a new guest. He has never been on the show before, and I'm very excited about having him with us. He has written a new book. Oh, yes, and it just came out 2 months ago. So let me ask you a question. Do you let stress weigh you down? Yeah, I think we all do. Have you ever thought about your own brain health? Would you like to improve your emotional awareness? Do you know the best way to maximize your energy and to regain your focus? Well, are you ready to meet someone who will help your feeling of self-worth, happiness, and help you get some more satisfaction with your life? Tell me now, have you ever heard of a book called The 9 Pillars of Resilience, the proven path to master stress, slow aging, and increase your vitality? If you can answer yes or maybe to any of these questions I've asked, then you are in the right place. And I'd like to welcome you to January Jones Sharing Senior Success. So now it's time, rest, relax, go get some wine, get some cheese, get some crackers, and join us in the no wine zone. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. He is a first-time visitor on our show. He is the founder and former clinical director of the Stress Strategies Program of UCLA, Santa Monica Hospital, and former clinical director of Moonview Treatment and Optimal Performance Center. It's my pleasure to welcome to the show today Dr. Stephen Sideroff. Hi, Stephen. How are you doing today?
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm doing great. Good to be with you.
Oh, I've looked forward to this interview for sure. Before we get into discussing your brand new book, could you share a little bit with our listeners where your success story began and tell us who your early mentors were?
Of course, of course. So actually, my career began in brain research, brain science. I was interested in discovering and uncovering where and how learning and memory take place in the brain.
Okay.
And I was very fortunate that early in my career, one of my mentors was one of the pioneers in neuroscience,
Oh,
Donald Hebb.
okay.
Donald Hebb wrote one of the first books on really explaining how learning takes place in the brain.
Okay.
And he's the one who said for the first time, neurons that fire together wire together.
Oh, I love that. That's very,
And it's a statement that resonates with me and continues to be something that I focus on in how we engage the process of neuroplasticity in brain change and transformation.
wow. Those are some pretty big words.
Right, right. But so my story is really about wanting to help as many people as possible
Mhm.
uh, deal with perhaps the biggest challenge we all face, which is chronic stress.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I've learned very early on some of the reasons why we actually have resistance to dealing with stress. One of which is that if you think about all the successes in your life,
Mhm.
I guarantee that almost all of them have been associated with stress. You know, an important presentation, a
Yeah.
test,
Right.
every situation that has led to success was accompanied by stress. So, back to my mentor,
Mhm.
neurons that fire together, wire together. Our
Mhm.
brains have put those two things together: stress, success. And so, it's very important to realize, and as a result, I have redefined stress and the stress response as a tool for success.
Oh.
However, we have to realize that there is a stress sweet spot, and
Okay.
most of us overshoot that sweet spot into danger zones. We have too much stress in our lives, and that leads to physical symptoms, and it leads to emotional symptoms, and even cognitive symptoms. So, this led me to my book and my model, a new model of resilience, the nine
Resilient.
pillars of resilience, which I'm excited to share and talk about with you today.
Well, that's why I'm so happy to have you with us because this has been an extremely stressful time for everyone. And I'm not just talking about seniors. Everyone of every age has been going through this election cycle. So much stress every time you put the news on. And I've had some other guests, and the only thing they've come up with so far is, turn the news off. But then I'm dealing with a lot of news junkies, of which I happen to be one. So I'd like to hear your take on some ideas for helping seniors and everyone else deal with stress.
So let me start with some very basic points.
Hmm.
We have two branches to our nervous system. Our nervous system, our central nervous system, is what guides everything that takes place in our brains and in our bodies.
Okay.
And that nervous system has two branches. One branch is the sympathetic activation branch that gets triggered every time we experience stress, every time we experience a danger, a threat. And that sympathetic activation activates our body, and it activates our body for the fight or flight response to deal
Okay.
with the danger.
Hmm.
Even though, January,
Hmm.
I will suggest that very few of the stresses in our lives can be handled by either fighting them or running from them.
Okay.
But our body mobilizes for that fight or flight response every time we wake up in the morning and we worry about, am I going to be able to pay my bill? We trigger the activation of the fight or flight response. We are concerned about a conflict with a friend. We activate the stress response. So that's the one branch of our nervous system. The other branch is the recovery branch. It's the branch that you want to switch into to restore all the resources used up when you are stressing your body. Okay. So these need to be in balance. Now, I will suggest that for most of your audience, throughout the day, we're activating the sympathetic, the fight or flight response. But how many stimuli do you have in your day that says you're safe, you can relax? I don't have any in my day. I don't know about you.
Well, the best one I have is our little puppy dog.
Well, good, yes, and puppies can serve that purpose. But my point is that we're continually activating the stress response, and we don't spend enough time recovering and restoring balance.
Okay.
And so the most important lesson for your audience is to realize we all have just a certain amount of personal energy. It's not unlimited.
Right.
And if we're always looking for danger out there, if we're continually stressing and we're not giving our bodies the opportunity to recover, that's when our bodies overheat. That's when our bodies become dysregulated. That's when we have physical symptoms, emotional and mental symptoms. So this notion of balance is at the heart of resilience.
Now, you mentioned energy, and I find I'm dealing with a husband who wants to take naps all the time. And as you get older, obviously, you have less and less energy. So what is your message for my older listeners today?
Yes. So there's a few points to address this. First of all is to remember that if you're using your energy, your personal energy, to worry about something going on in the outside world, you may be taking energy away from your kidneys that are required to purify your blood, because we don't have an unlimited supply of energy. So the more you focus your energy out into the world, the less energy is available for the healing and maintenance of your body. You know, there was once a study done in which they put a 10-centimeter cut in people's arms. And then they looked at how long it took to heal. And they found that the people who had higher levels of stress took twice as long for that to heal.
Oh my gosh.
So what's very important is that everybody find a particular way for them to engage that recovery branch of the nervous system. Now, I recommend that people take about 10 minutes each day to practice a relaxation exercise, mindfulness, meditation, some form of relaxation, a breathing exercise in which you're focused on relaxing your body. Not the same as watching TV.
No.
You can be activated by watching TV. So my first two recommendations are, number one, is to think throughout your day of finding what I call zones of safety, time and places where you could literally say to yourself, I'm safe right now. I could let down my guard and give my body the opportunity to recover, particularly doing that when you sit down to have a meal.
Oh, yes.
Because if you sit down to have a meal and you're worrying about something, you're engaging the stress response. And when you engage the stress response, your body wants to shut down your digestive system.
Oh, okay.
And this is why a lot of people have gastrointestinal problems.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
they're stressed while they're eating.
Wow. Hearing you tell it that way, that makes sense.
Right.
I can even understand that. But right now, we're going to take a little break and hear about what Glitter Granny's been up to.
Welcome to Glitter Granny Gifts to Give or to Get. Hosted by January Jones, aka Glitter Granny, and her golden doodle ginger ale. If you're a granny who wants to glitter and glow, it's time to join us for a sparkling shopping experience that will be unique and so very special. Whenever you need a unique and spectacular gift, then Granny will help you find it. Along with gifts for family, friends, and holidays, there are even glitter gifts for coworkers, in-laws, doctors, and you can even find something for your friend who has everything. If you need a really good gag gift, you'll find it here. Hats, canes, shoes, accessories. When it comes to glitter accessories, Granny and Ginger Ale are on board with everything you can imagine, and then some more. The favorites are at her website, and remember, she is adding to this list almost every day with lots of fun gifts to give or to get. Granny has created a website that is glamorous and glows with glitter products to wear or to use every day. As she says, if it ain't got bling, it doesn't mean a thing. Now let me tell you about her glitter hat collection. She actually has too many to count. Her collections are must-have accessories for any glitter granny who enjoys getting attention everywhere she goes. Remember, if people are going to stare at you, make it worthwhile for them. And canes? Everyone will ask you, where did you get it? Can I get one too? Now, just go to glittergranny.com and check it out.
Welcome back with my wonderful guest today, Dr. Stephen Sideroff. He is not a whiner because this man is a winner. And he's sharing with us an amazing book that he's written, and it's now at Amazon. And Doctor, do you have a website that you can promote right now?
Yes, my website is drstephensideroff.com, drstephensideroff.com. And one of the things I want to offer for your audience is my resilience assessment booklet.
Oh.
And this describes my 9 pillars of resilience.
Okay.
But beyond that, it has a questionnaire that your audience can take. They can self-score and they can identify their personal resilience profile along my 9 dimensions.
Oh, wow. Fabulous. And where do they go to your website to get it?
They go to my website and they can get it for free.
Oh, okay. And is it an ebook or do you get a paper?
It's an ebook.
Oh, well, guess where I'm going? And I'm also going to have my husband.
Yeah, it's very eye-opening.
Oh, thank you. What a wonderful gift for our listeners. Now, we were talking 9 pillars,
Yes.
resilience, 9 pillars. We talked about number 1 is the safe zone.
Well, that's actually the 4th pillar.
Oh, that's the 4th pillar. What's the first pillar?
We skipped ahead to the 4th.
I'm so bright.
But the first one, so the first 3 have to do with relationship.
Okay.
The first one is maybe the most important, your most important relationship, which is your relationship with yourself, how you treat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is about, a lot of us are super critical of ourselves. We're judgmental of ourselves, negative. We put ourselves down.
Mm-hmm.
We feel we don't deserve. We're not good enough. All of these things are lessons from our childhood. And because we incorporate them into our inner voice, that's why they are still with us as adults and into old age, unless we address that. And in my book, I take my listeners and readers through steps to establish a healthy relationship with themselves that comes from a place of love, compassion, acceptance, support, care, and joy. So that's my first pillar. The second.
Okay, and interestingly enough, I flew back from California this last week, and I met a lovely seatmate who was 87 years old. And we were talking about the fact that so often as you're getting older, somehow your mind goes back to your childhood, and things will just pop into my head that I things I've forgotten for years, but it's always kind of present, isn't it?
It's always present. The voice we hear 24/7 comes from that perspective. And so you want to start talking to yourself by developing this healthy internal voice that comes from those qualities that I just described.
Okay, so you're working on creating your own inner dialogue.
Yes.
And what suggestions, how would you start a conversation with yourself?
Okay, well, so the first thing I suggest to everybody is that anytime you're upset, anytime you're not feeling great, I guarantee it's because you're giving yourself some kind of negative, critical message from your existing internal voice.
Okay.
So whenever you're upset, that's a signal to you. That's a cue. Find a message that you're giving yourself, like, oh, you didn't do that well enough, or you're going to make a mistake, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And when you identify that message, you then want to shift to this new voice that you're developing, that I refer to as your healthy internal parent.
Oh, I like that.
the parent that you would have loved having growing up, that comes from those qualities of love and acceptance, and have him or her speak to you from that more positive place and help you begin to make shifts in how you treat yourself.
Wow, that's great. That is something I can comprehend and relate to. I think back to my childhood, and the one person that I wished all the time was my actual parent, was my uncle. So if I were in a stressful moment and sitting back and thinking to myself, what would Uncle George say to me? Oh, that's brilliant. I like that. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And that's great that you have somebody in your life who you could model your internal voice based on. That's great.
Oh, wow. I like that. Yeah. So far, I'm trying to be in a safe zone with my Uncle George.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I got it. Then what do I do next? What's the next step?
Okay, so I'm going to skip around because I want to get to the next thing that's most important.
Okay.
And that's my fifth pillar, which is mental balance and mastery. This is how you approach the world. Do you start the day thinking what might go wrong, what dangers are there, or do you start your day thinking, hey, I wonder what great things can happen today? I'm excited about the day.
Right.
Because that determines which direction you go in your life. So mental balance and mastery is also having what I refer to as a growth mindset.
Right.
A growth mindset means that if you notice any kind of weakness in yourself, in your personality, in your way of thinking, rather than accepting it, which would be a fixed mindset,
Okay.
With a growth mindset, you say, okay, how do I improve along this dimension? How do I overcome this shortcoming so that I grow from recognizing the shortcoming rather than just accepting it? A growth mindset means you have a positive mindset. You look for the positive. A lot of people start out thinking negative. Oh,
Oh,
this is
no.
going to be difficult. This is
Mhm.
going to be tough. Instead, you want to start out saying, I embrace this challenge. That's the positive approach. So that's my fifth pillar. Now I'll go to my sixth pillar, which is also very, very important. And this is emotional balance and mastery.
Okay.
So this means, so emotional balance and mastery is when we don't carry around excess emotional baggage.
Oh, boy.
This
Okay.
this is very much January. This is very much in line with your no whining.
Right.
So if you're carrying an upset,
Hmm.
you're the only one that's suffering from carrying that upset. And you may be angry at somebody, but if you're carrying that anger, it's only hurting you, not the other person. So you want to recognize when you're carrying unfinished emotional business,
Hmm.
engage in a process to finish it.
Oh, okay.
Now, some people say, I don't want to let that guy off the hook. He hurt me. He did this. He did that. But you're not doing it to let that person off the hook. You're doing it to let yourself off the hook because you're the one that's being dragged down by negative emotions. You know,
Yes. That's true.
January, when we look at our heart rate,
Hmm.
there's a measure of optimal heart rate functioning, and it's called heart rate variability.
Okay.
What that means is if you look at your heart rate pattern, you will see when it's optimally balanced, you'll see that your heart rate speeds up as you breathe in and slows down as you breathe out. And you have this beautiful rhythm that we call coherence.
Okay.
When we go into a positive emotional state, such as gratitude, appreciation,
Mhm.
it supports this optimal pattern. However, when we're in a negative emotional state of regret, grievances,
Mhm.
anger, frustration, that pattern becomes chaotic. So,
Okay.
what I'm saying to your audience is
Mhm.
that our emotional state directly impacts our physiological state and biochemical state.
Wow. Yes.
So,
Okay.
we want to, as much as possible, be in a space and place of gratitude and appreciation that helps our body function at its best. And I'll say one more thing about this, and this is so interesting.
Uh-huh.
January, if you and I were standing next to each other
Uh-huh.
and I put an electrode on your scalp
Okay. Under my hat.
under your hat and I picked up your brain waves,
Okay.
I picked up your electroencephalogram, I would be able to detect my heart rate pattern in your brain waves.
Oh my gosh.
Think about that.
Yes. I'm trying to.
I
I'm
would
meant.
be able to pick out my heart rate pattern in your brain waves. Now, let's go back to the last point that I made,
Uh-huh.
that when you're in a positive emotional state, you have this beautiful, synchronous, coherent heart rate pattern that I would pick up in your brain waves. But
Uh-huh.
if I was upset and angry and had a chaotic heart rate pattern, I'd pick up that in your brain waves. So this is one of the ways, unconsciously, unknowingly, we project who we are to other people, and the other people pick this up unconsciously, automatically. And that's why when you're with some people, you say, this feels so good. And
Yeah.
when you're with other people, you kind of like, hey, I want to move on.
Well, this is an incredible show because you are now explaining to me what has been going on for 54 years of my marriage.
Uh-huh.
And when my husband and we're looking at each other, I feel like we're so symbiotic. I can just sense, I know what he's thinking. He knows what I'm thinking. That's incredible.
Yeah.
You
So
for sure.
in my book, in one of the chapters on emotional balance and mastery,
Uh-huh.
I go through this step by step on how you work through feelings, anger, resentment that perhaps that you've been carrying your whole life, or
Mhm.
certainly for many years, how to let go of them.
Oh, incredible. We're going to take a break. And just like Dr. Sideroff, I've written a book too, and I'd like to share it with you.
Introducing Living and Dying Without Whining, a memoir. 80 years of magical moments, written by January Jones. Ms. Jones shares her most exciting and magical moments. Patriotic moments. Landing on aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson. Staying overnight, then catapulting off. Revealing moments. Working for the CIA for 5 years. Thrilling and comforting moments. Meeting Charles Lindbergh and Neil Armstrong together. Sassy moments. Swinging 60s and the 70s. The age of Aquarius. Exciting moments. As a TV contestant on Joker's Wild and Family Feud. Reality moments. Playing in the World Series of Golf on reality TV. Career moments. As a stewardess for Eastern Airlines. Touching moments. With meeting a half-brother she never knew about. With many, many more magical moments. Living and dying without whining. A memoir. 80 years of magical moments. Written by January Jones. Available at Amazon.com and Audible.com.
Welcome back with my incredible guest, Dr. Steven Sideroff. And he's written a book too, and it just shows you if you're a senior, if you have a book, sit down, start doing it, because if we can do it, anyone can do it. Doctor, in my mind, as we were visiting, I was thinking back to how I was able to overcome some of the things that my inner child had been dealing with. And what helped me do that was once you can actually have forgiveness, and I mean truly deeply realize that by forgiving others, you're forgiving yourself, and you're breaking a bad habit, because so many people just dwell on things that happened long time ago. Isn't that true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's get back to my original point about our personal energy, and that we all have a limited amount. And our body wants to either go into defend and protect or heal and maintain and grow.
Okay.
And that's, again, about the balance that I talked about. So when we carry grudges, when we carry resentments, that triggers the stress response, and we're using up energy on this person or situation that no longer is important to us. And we're wasting our personal energy that we have limited amounts there instead of using it for our body's maintenance and healing.
Okay.
So we want to be very careful about where we place our energy. When we worry, and this is another important thing, when we worry, we're not really having an impact on what we're worrying about. It's just wasted energy, because worry triggers the stress response, the fight or flight response, and takes precious energy away from organs in our body that require energy for maintenance. So that's really important. Now, I want to say one more thing about that.
Yes.
Last week, I gave a talk at a conference on longevity. And now we have ways of literally doing a biological age of ourselves. So like you're 80 or 81, but
Yes.
that's your chronological age.
Okay.
Your biological age is very different. Your biological age is actually how your body's aging.
Wow.
And so one of the reasons I wrote my book on the 9 pillars of resilience is to lay out a program, lay out a path for optimal aging and slowing. That's in my title, slowing aging. Now, I did my biological age.
Yeah. I'm curious.
2 years ago.
Yes.
When I turned 75.
Okay.
And my biological age came out as 55.
Wow.
20 years younger. So I've used the 9 pillars because it's really a way that I live my life in the optimal fashion. As a psychologist, this is what I've been working to develop and share with the world, is a way to slow the aging process. And so following the lessons of that book, I have an aging process that's much slower than my chronological age. And that's the message to everybody, is you're all capable of slowing your aging.
Wow. Okay. And this will be revealed once we get your book. And I'm looking forward to that, because some days I feel it's crazy, but some days I feel like I'm 25. And then other days I wake up and I feel like I'm 105. And I can actually, you're sharing with us that we can actually control this, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
Wonderful.
Again, there's so many factors that go into how we age and how fast we age. And many of those we have control over.
Okay. This would be very helpful for people who are dealing with illness. And so many of my dear, dear friends have dealt with cancer and, chemo, and just so many things to worry about. And sometimes they're worrying about things that actually they have no control over, right?
Absolutely. That's what the definition of worry is wasted energy, really. And again, back to what the study that I said about how quickly or slowly it takes to heal. When you're under stress, your body's going to heal more slowly. And for seniors, that's so important, because, we lose some of our capability of healing. And so we don't want to waste our energy when it could be going into the healing process by becoming more resilient.
Wow. Your book should be mandatory reading in every doctor's office. It should be in the waiting room, along with my Thou Shalt Not Whine book. They are a good fit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting, as you age, the goal is to age gracefully, But then you get around other people, and all they want to talk about is their pills and their doctors. And it's so hard to just get people to let go of that and move forward, isn't it?
It is, but when we're engaged in conversations and someone starts to talk about that,
Uh,
we can educate them. We can say, when you talk about those things, you only make the situation worse because you're emphasizing something that's negative, and your body reacts to that negativity. So let's collaborate to come up with something positive and good to think about. Let's identify what we can feel gratitude toward, because I just learned that when I go into the state of gratitude, my body actually livens up. My body actually becomes more revitalized.
yeah. And this is actually, I love it because this is a gift you can give yourself, because everyone is saying, what's your secret to longevity? And up until now, I, basically have said, well, I smile a lot. And I'm trying to be positive, and it does help, doesn't it?
It definitely helps. Yes.
Wow. I
That's
love
part
that.
of the positive mindset, and mental balance and mastery is always looking for the positive. It's not that you ignore the dangers, but
Mhm.
once you figure out how you will deal with the danger, you then don't dwell on it. You then don't worry about it,
Mhm.
because that's putting more energy where you don't want to put more energy. You want to put energy into the positive potentials.
Now, interesting. I've never heard this before, obviously. Are you the only one who has talked about this? Because no one has ever made the connection between my emotions and my physical body. This
Mhm.
is very new. I'm sure all my listeners are just thrilled to hear this. Does anyone, do doctors know about this?
Well, we're still trying to educate doctors
Okay.
because they have a very mechanical perspective on the body.
Uh-huh.
All the how it works from a mechanical perspective, and they're less likely to bring in the impact of emotions,
Uh-huh.
and they don't fully understand the impact of stress as well, and how important it is.
Well, the reality is they're basically mechanics, and we're the vehicle they're working on. And this connection, are they going to start teaching this in medical schools, doctor?
Well, little by little, there are changes happening. I teach at UCLA, and I
Uh-huh.
teach in the medical school. And so
Yes.
I have been teaching in a program called the doctoring program, where
Uh-huh.
I teach medical students what they don't learn in medical school. All of the things that I'm sharing with all of you right now.
Oh, wonderful. You know who I'm going to share this with? We see my husband's cardiologist once a month.
Uh-huh.
And and he is very positive, and
Good.
he's helped us mentally deal with illness in a wonderful way. And he's the head of the whole cardiac division. So I definitely am going to be telling him about this. Anything else you want to stress before we have to go?
Well, I want to remind people, when you have the growth mindset, it
Hmm.
means that anything that you're upset about, you don't have to be stuck with.
Okay.
That there's always ways of getting better, becoming better. And not only that, but the more you focus on becoming better, you actually and have a purpose to your life, that in and of itself extends your life. Having a purpose, finding a purpose in your life, which is my third pillar of resilience, will
Mhm.
also help you be more excited to wake up in the morning and to find things that you love and enjoy. But my book, The 9 Pillars of Resilience, The Proven Path to Master Stress, Slow Aging, and Increase Vitality, is really a handbook for all of these things. Michael Ovitz, the former CEO of Disney and founder of CAA, he said my book is a brilliant book, and he said it's the best handbook for living your best life. So it's something that you can pick up and read 5 pages or 5 minutes, and you get an idea, and you can follow that idea throughout the day, and it helps guide you onto what I refer to as the path of optimal living.
Oh, that's incredible, because I always refer to all of my books, especially Thou Shalt Not Whine. I refer to it as a bathroom book. And just everyone goes in there to their throne room to do a little reading. And I think they should have my book in there and your book right in the bathroom. And I love that 4 or 5 pages at a time. It's not overwhelming, is it?
No, it doesn't have to be overwhelming, just a little bit at a time, one step at a time.
And, without knowing it, you now are explaining to me, and this will help me explain it to my family. They'll say, well, you're 81 years old. Why are you doing Glitter Granny? And why are you becoming an affiliate at Amazon? And actually, this is what you need to do to live a long life, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And so your audience can go to my website, drstephensideroff.com, and get my resilience assessment booklet, or I can also give you the link if you have show notes or other places for it. I'll give you the link so that people will have that. Oh,
wonderful. We'll do that for sure. I really love sharing this with you. It's such a timely thing because, people are living longer and longer these days, but they're not happy. No.
Absolutely. We want to increase not only lifespan, but what we call health span. That's staying functional as long as possible.
And they're both connected. Before we go, I always ask all my guests, and I'm going to ask you this now. If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, besides me, who would you invite to dinner?
Living or dead?
Living or dead.
Wow. There are a lot of people that come to mind, but there's a 19th and 20th century mystic, Gurdjieff.
Oh, okay.
Georgy Gurdjieff.
Okay.
Brilliant man. That's who I would pick.
Wow. Okay. No one has said that. Most of my women guests say they're going to invite Oprah or Michelle Obama. You're on a completely different level, and it's a wonderful level. And we have loved having you with us today. And there's more pillars to talk about. So I hope you will come back again and again.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I've enjoyed our conversation. And yes, I'd be happy to come back.
Okay, to all my listeners, take care, stay safe. Be sure to glitter and glow until we meet again. Bye-bye.
We want to thank you for listening to January Jones Sharing Success Stories. Always remember Ms. Jones' personal mantra, if you can think it, you can do it. That's what all of our guests have done with their lives, and so can you. You are the ultimate success coach in your own life. All you need to do will be to start sharing your own story with your family and friends. We hope that our guest stories will encourage you to explore an equation in your future that will combine your creativity plus connecting with others will enable you to be successful too. Always remember, your passion plus your purpose will equal prosperity as you explore the wonderful world of January Jones.